What's up guys, this is Chris from Honest Outlaw, and today we're going to get two birds stoned at once. We're going to do some patron questions and make a video at the same time. I try to answer as many patron questions as I can, but we're getting pretty overloaded, so I thought I'd save a little time here and just make a video, and that way not only can I answer the questions for the patrons, but also you guys can see the answers to the questions since they're probably some commonly answered questions anyway. This is the first time we've done this, and we're going to probably have some hiccups during this process. Part of that is we haven't screened any of the questions at all, so I'm just going to have my wife ask me the questions, and I'm just going to answer them as truthfully as I can with no research whatsoever. So, might be a shit show, might not. Hopefully it's entertaining. If not, maybe we'll do better next time. Alright, that being said, we'll just get right into it now, and you just hit me with a bunch of random questions, and hopefully I have the answer, and if I don't, I'll just make a dumb face and pretend. No, I won't. I'll just say I don't know.
Okay. Alright, well, our first question is from patron William P, and he has a couple of different questions. So, the first one is staccato P or C2?
Well, that depends on what you want it for. They're both great. They're both used for different purposes, but they can both flex into the same purpose. Staccato P is a heavier gun, considerably heavier. It's like 34 ounces to like 26. It's noticeable. It's a longer barrel with a steel frame, so it's going to be harder to carry, but it's going to shoot way better at the range. If you're looking at something that's going to be mostly at the range, mostly home defense, P's the way to go. Looking for something that's going to be predominantly a carry gun, C2 is the way to go.
Okay, he also asks, what are your favorite optics for pistols, potentially top 2 or 3?
Okay, so I err heavily on reliability for pistol optics because they're naturally unreliable. The RMR Type 2's right up there. If I'm going to have a combat optic, that's going to be it. 507 by Holosun's really good as well. The K by Holosun's awesome. The RMR CC and the SRO is my favorite range optic. However, some of the Holosun and some of the Sig Sauer options are pretty awesome as well. But the SRO is my predominant range optic, and the RMR is my predominant carry slash duty choice.
Alright, and his last question, recommendations on a good Conceal holster for the Shield Plus?
Whichever flavor you like, man. All Kydex is interesting, and most of it's usually good. I don't like leather holsters because after time they can wear down, and reholstering can cause some problems. Most Kydex holsters are good. I usually get a lot of them on eBay, believe it or not, but T-Rex Arms is awesome. Tier 1 Concealment's probably my overall favorite, and then there's Vetter holsters.
Okay, alright. Patron Michael says, do you have any experience with the Remington R1 Enhanced Carry 1911?
I do not, but in my personal experience, I try to stay as far away from Remington as humanly possible.
Okay, good to know. Patron Alexei says, help, I want to purchase a staccato. I guess in the C Duo, the way I understand it is that I need to go with the tactical sights to co-witness with the red dot. I would love to purchase the P, but I can't justify the price. I have never owned a 9mm pistol before.
I'm not super sure of the question, but the staccato comes around $2,000. The regular version, if you're not interested in the red dot, it's about 500 bucks cheaper. If you want to go the red dot version, on my gun I went with the Duo for the P and had the co-witness sights. They come with the co-witness sights if it has a red dot mount on it, but if it doesn't, it comes with standard sights. And my C2 I actually got machined by Vulcan Machine Works for a lot less than $500. So if you want to save a little money and still have a red dot, you can do that. However, I'm not sure if that answers, but let's move on.
Okay. Patron American Badass says, I'd really like to see you do a CZ P10C versus Walter PDP Compact, or CZ P10S versus Glock 43X, SIG P365, Shield Plus, etc. What are your thoughts on that?
It's quite a bit. We can do some of those. I like the P10 versus the PDP. I've been planning on doing a video for that for some time. I was going to do the full-size P10F versus the PDP, but I can do the compact versus the CZ P10C at some point as well. I don't have a P10C currently. I sold it to one of my buddies, but it shouldn't be that hard to get it back for a video. They're both very comparable in awesomeness, and I think they're both better than the Glock, and I think they're two of the best current polymer frame pistols on the market. So if it were me and you were trying to decide between the two, I would just pick either of them up and see which one felt better and go with that one, because they're both pretty excellent, and they both have pretty excellent triggers, recoil management, all that stuff. That being said, pretty awesome name.
All right, patron David, thoughts on 10mm in general? Passing fad or a caliber here to stay?
Interestingly enough, it's the third most popular 1911 caliber, and it's one of the most popular handgun calibers currently. 10mm had a resurgence the last few years, and I think for good reason. It's like 45, but a little better. And if I'm hunting with a semi-automatic pistol round, it's most likely going to be 10mm, and I think that's the general consensus for most people. It's very reliable in comparison to some other larger calibers, so I like it a lot. I have a couple of pistols in it, and I need to get a 1911 in it. I was going to buy an Ed Brown, I think it's a 6-inch 10mm at some point. However, they're not available that I'm aware of the last time I looked, but I'll get one eventually. I like 10mm. My FK BRNO PSD has the 10mm barrel. I shoot it fairly frequently. I like the 7.5 a little bit more. However, you know, 10mm is pretty awesome.
Okay, patron Kevin has an interesting question about a gun that I'm not sure you love, but he asks, would it be wise if one were to have a St. Victor pistol AR to purchase a charger slide and bolt action from Bravo Company to replace the parts?
You should take your Saint and replace it with a Bravo Company. You should just not replace the parts. You should just take it and chop it in half. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, if your Saint works great, just keep running it. I mean, honestly, flukes happen, and Springfield is a fairly reputable company. I'm not sure about in the AR industry, but they do make some pretty great 1911s, and the XD isn't the worst thing in the world, and the Hellcat's pretty good. I might have had a bad experience with them, and I also don't particularly like their politics, so I try to stay away from it if possible. That being said, if you're having issues with any AR, by all means, yes, feel free to replace the parts with Bravo Company parts. The Bravo Company isn't the best company for AR parts, but they're pretty close. Arrow is really good as well, and they're a little bit cheaper even, and they're a little more available, so you can go Arrow as well.
All right. Patron Chris asks, can you recommend some good companies to do an SRO cut on my CZ Shadow 2? Yeah,
absolutely. Cajun Gunworks would be my #1. Primary Machine has done some for me as well. They're very good. Their customer service isn't quite as good as Cajun, but their optics cuts are just as good. CZ Custom will do them as well, and I think Vulcan will do them as well, and I think Jaegerworks might do them too.
All right, patron Jeremy asks,
fucking bug,
which would you prefer for a range gun and just a badass gun to add to the collection? The Staccato P or the TAC Ultra by Hayes Custom?
Oh shit, either would be great. I would err on the side of the P for absolute reliability. However, the Rock Island is fucking awesome too. I mean, I had a blast shooting both of them. Both are equally accurate, both have very low recoil. I think the P cycles faster because it's a 4.4 versus the 5. I don't like 5-inch 9mm 20. I mean, I like them, don't get me wrong, but if I can get a 4.6 or a 4.4, I prefer that. Cycles faster, and overall you get a little better performance reliability wise. So if I had to pick one, the P, but they're both pretty awesome. There's a lot of staccato questions.
There are.
That's a crazy amount of staccato. There's like 3 other guns and the rest is staccato.
This is not a staccato question though.
Okay.
So, patron Slyfoot0.
Sweet name again.
I'm going to get a Glock 22 direct milled. What red dot would you recommend for range and carry every day? RMR, RMO6, question mark?
Yeah, the RMR, absolutely, 100%. The RMR Type 2 will most likely never fail you, and that can't be said for almost all other pistol optics, besides maybe the Holosun series, and Holosun stuff isn't made in America, so I err on the side of Trijicon, generally. Plus I like Trijicon, I've owned them forever and I have so much experience with them. It makes me feel comfortable to recommend them. That's a long one, it looks like.
Wow, this is...
Big guy?
This is a long one with some personal information in it, so
yeah, let's skip that one.
Here, we'll skip this one. Alright, let's see. Wow, this is also a long one. But, here we go. Patron Dana says, I'm new to handguns, grew up with rifles and shotguns, so I have been watching a lot of your reviews. I purchased a Taurus G3C about a year ago and I like it, but I'm more interested in this as my carry pistol, but I would like a full size for home defense, maybe a little more enjoyment on the range, and dual use flexibility. Since I am new to this, I'm trying to maintain a budget, so I have been looking at several sub $400 pistols and was hoping for a comparison video of some of the new and maybe even older ones that are relevant. Some models I've been considering are Beretta APX, Taurus G3, PSA Dagger, Canik TP9DA, SA Defender XD, Ruger Security 9, Smith & Wesson SD9, etc. My head is spinning. Heck, I probably have guns that shouldn't even be considered in the same category. What are your thoughts?
If you're looking for a range or home defense gun out of those, I'd go Canik. The Canik has the best trigger out of all those. The G3 is pretty good too from Taurus, but the Canik is just a higher quality gun overall, and the shooting performance is going to be better than all the ones you listed. That being said, I would try to find, if it were me, I would either go with the Canik or I would try to find a used Walther PPQ. They're pretty commonly around the $500, $400 range. Same with the M&P Gen 1 or even a Glock 17. Pretty awesome gun. However, the Canik is going to beat the shit out of the Glock, but it certainly won't beat the PPQ.
Alright. Patron Robert asks, what's your opinion between the two CZ oranges, the Tactical Shadow 2 orange and the Shadow 2 orange? Their prices are close, but the Shadow 2 orange comes with an accessory rail and barrel bushing and is about $300 more.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I always err on the side of the Shadow. The Tactical Sport's great, but it is in the name. It's a sport gun. It doesn't have a rail. It has a longer barrel than really necessary, which aids in accuracy, but as far as like, the Shadow 2 is pretty damn accurate anyway. If you're gonna put a dot on it, it makes zero difference. The Shadow 2 cycles faster. It's got an accessory rail, so you can flex into a bunch of different philosophies of use. Not to quote nothing fancy, but I think overall the Shadow 2 is a better gun, and I think it shoots just as fast, so why not?
Okay. Patron Wild William. Howdy, Outlaw. I know you're a CZ fan and you had a great review of the P10F a few years back. 2 days ago I found a unicorn at a gun store, a P10F in 45. I didn't even know CZ released this model until I saw it on the shelf. I thought the store had incorrectly tagged the gun until he took it out of the case. Can't find much about it online, isn't even on their website. Don't know if you know anything about this.
I didn't, but now I want one, so now I'm gonna have to gun broker one. But that sounds pretty sweet. The P10F has very low recoil in 9mm, so I imagine it handles the 45 extremely well. And I'd be interested to see a comparison, because I'm sure that the P10F in 45 is built larger. So it'd be kind of cool to see a comparison of each one of them, so I might have to get one now. But that seems pretty cool, Wild Bill.
Alright, Patron Joe. You mentioned using a Dremel for customization.
Oh boy.
Wow, my words are escaping me. Quite a bit. I have a Hellcat that really kills my middle finger when firing it at the range. I was wondering if you might consider doing a video on how to reduce the trigger guard to alleviate the problem.
Yeah, I can do that. It's unique to everyone, and there's a lot of trial and error to it. If I were you, I would... How would you do this cheap? Well, one way that you can do it in practice relatively cheap, I actually have a Zev OZ9, and the frames on the Zev OZ9 are like 40 bucks, and they're not the firearm, so you can just buy a gang of them and mess with them. I also have done that on several other guns that you can do that with, But just doing it to your Hellcat, I would be very careful, because if you mess it up, the gun is ruined. That being said, would I do it? Yeah, I would. I can't make a video on YouTube doing that, because YouTube can't stand gun modification in any way, and I'll get a strike on my channel. However, I could do one on Patron, which shouldn't be too much of an issue. But basically what you do is I put it in a vise upside down, and I strip all the parts out of it, including the magazine release, because you can nick the magazine release, and then cover up anything with tape where you want to stop. That way you have like a visual aid at where you want to stop. I don't do that anymore, but I used to do that when I started. And then just kind of round it out a little bit at a time, because you can take some off, but you can never put it back on. So round it off a little bit at a time, and then pick it up, hold on to it, see if it feels a little bit better, and try to focus on what part is really egging your finger, and then even put it all back together, shoot it a little bit before you go too far. Because if you go too far, you can make the trigger guard very weak and it can break, or you can make it very uncomfortable. One thing I would really recommend is taking some high grain sandpaper and polishing it down afterward. It makes it look a little better, and it makes it a lot more comfortable.
Good question. Whoops. All right, Patron Scott asks, do you target focus or front sight focus when you are shooting for speed?
Depends on the distance, because I shoot speed at a lot of distance. I am target focused anywhere from 0 to around 15 yards, I would say. Somewhere in that area. It depends on your skill level and your just your overall, the way you shoot, but that's the way I do it. I try to look at the target at least 0 to 10 yards, because I feel like you're going to be threat focused in a real life scenario, and I feel like it helps you move quicker from target to target in matches and things like that. That being said, there is a time where you must focus on the front sight, and that usually hits around 15 to 20 yards, and past that it's all front sight focus all day. That helps the accuracy.
Patron Ivan asks, I have the 5.2 inch Canik TP9 SFX, and I have the Walter PDP 5 inch full size. Which one do you think is better?
Well, I don't have the 5 inch PDP, although I want one real bad. I saw one for sale at Shields in Des Moines, and I didn't pick it up, and I've hated myself for it ever since. I gotta get one on G-Broker at some point. The PDP is an overall slightly better gun to me. The build quality is a little bit better. It's not made in Turkey, and I just trust Walter as a company a lot, because they've been in business a very long time, and every gun I've ever bought from them I really like. That being said, they probably shoot the exact same, and most likely they'd be exactly the same in reliability. Whichever one floats your boat better, I would imagine, but if it were me, I'd take the PDP.
Okay. Patron Chris has 7 questions.
Let's hit them. It's a
All
good
right,
name.
number 1. I went to my local gun store last week to look around. I am getting ready to make my first gun purchase in almost 3 decades. I went in looking for a 40 cal, but was told by the salesperson that 40 cals are on the way out and that I need to be looking at 9mm. Is there truth to what he's saying, or do you think he was simply trying to sell me what he had available?
Well, first of all, yes. They're always trying to sell you something. Be aware of that. Don't go into a gun store and ask them their opinion, because you don't know their qualifications. I've heard some really dumb shit in gun stores. I mean, I saw a guy in Missouri trying to sell a 12 gauge single shot to a 70-year-old lady at a, you remember that? Cabela's. Yep. And I went over there, I was like, do not buy that. She's gonna go dove hunting with that, she's gonna blow her shoulder out the first shot. But, yeah, 40, is it on its way out? I mean, no. Are they less popular than 9? Absolutely, because they're similar in outcome when you shoot a thing with them. More similar than 40 guys would like to admit. That being said, if you want 40 is very effective. I can shoot 40 really well. Whichever one you like better. However, 9's got a lot of advantages. It's a little lighter recoil, a little funner to train with, a little less expensive, a little easier to find ammunition overall, especially now. So it's got some advantages, but you want 40, go with 40. It's not a bad caliber at all. I don't hate 40. A lot of people hate 40. It's high pressure, it runs the guns out. Yeah, if you shoot 5,000 rounds of it, you'll run your gun out. But are people going to do that? No.
All right, his second question is, assuming that I do go with a 9mm, the 2 top pistols on my list are the Walter PDP in the 4-inch version and the HK VP9. As of now, the PDP gets a slight nod over the VP9, strictly based on price point, though I will not make my final decision based on a mere $200 price difference. My biggest concern with either is the availability of accessories, aftermarket products, especially living in a small town. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, if you're concerned about that, go with a Glock or an M&P. But the PDP and the HK VP9 are both excellent guns, and they're so damn similar it would be hard to discern a lot of differences between them. As a matter of fact, Walther actually makes the slides for the VP9. Which one would I pick? Again, the PDP. However, I do own both because H&K, I love H&K as a company too. They overbuild things, and believe it or not, the VP9 is the most popular pistol HK makes now, so it's obviously a good gun. However, I don't like the shorter grip on the full-size gun, and the PDP has a full-size grip on a full-size gun, and I got the big old bear claws, so that would push me toward the PDP. Also, the PDP has better texture than the VP9, and it's just a more modern gun because it was designed more recently.
All right, to complicate things even more,
okay,
Chris asks, if it's going to be too hard to get accessories for the PDP or VP9, I am also considering the Glock 17 or the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. I was also shown a Steyr that felt really good in my hands, as well as a CZ product, but I know nothing about either of these companies. Taking price out of the equation, which of these 6 pistols would you buy for yourself? I am getting a total of 2 pistols this time around, one for carry and one for home defense.
Well, I can tell you that I probably own all those guns. He probably means the P10, because that's the most popular CZ pistol currently. Out of all those, you're going to get the most accessories with the Glock, then the M&P, then the CZ, then probably the Walther, then the H&K, I would imagine. That being said, some need more accessories than others, so that kind of muddies the water a little bit. You're going to need more accessories with the Glock. You're going to need probably a trigger upgrade with the M&P, and those you're not going to be able to find just in a random store. If you're looking for accessories, I'm not sure what accessories you're looking for. Holsters, magazine pouches, those should be relatively available for all the guns. If not,
next question.
If not, eBay is a wonderful thing.
All right, question number 4 for old Chris.
Fuck Chris.
The laws in his state are changing to allow open carry without, concealed and open carry without permit, which is something that's happening across the country right now.
It is, happened here.
He says, you're taller, but he is heavier than you.
How does he know? Does he weigh me?
He is contemplating open carry with an outside waistband holster to prevent discomfort. Do you have any brands or models of holsters that you suggest?
For outside the waistband carry?
Yeah.
For concealment, that's a little outside my wheelhouse. Raven concealment comes to mind, but they're very expensive. They're good holsters, but they're very expensive. I don't know why that popped in my head. I have one of those. Blade Tech's always pretty awesome. Vetter is going to be another really good company for that. Those 3 maybe. Yeah.
Question number 5 is, since I will essentially be starting anew with these handguns, would you recommend optics or just stick with standard sights? If you think optics are the way to go, do I start with them or do I start with standard sights, then switch to optics? And can you recommend optics?
Yeah. So optics are superior to iron sights, but they are more expensive. So you're going to be looking at double the cost. For a quality optic, it's going to be about the same price as a quality handgun. That kind of steers most people out of the optic game. If you're going to get a cheap optic, definitely practice with the iron sights because you're probably going to need them. I would go just iron sights, not because I'm like one of those old school trainer mentality, you got to shoot the iron sights before the red dot, because that doesn't make any sense. I didn't drive a Model A before I drove my Ford F-150, you know? But are iron sights incredibly viable on a pistol? Yes, they are. And I can shoot them just as fast as a red dot, not quite as accurately. But that being said, iron sights are more reliable than red dots. So if it's a carry gun, iron sights all day, cheaper, easier, and it will help you in your fundamentals. That being said, once you get into the red dot game, it will make you shoot your iron sights better. Because when people focus on the red dot, they see all that sway, and they kind of universally edge out all that sway and all that movement. When you pull the trigger on a red dot, you can see that damn thing comet and it can expose your bad fundamentals more so than iron sights.
All right, 6th question. I will be picking up a second pistol with a lower price point at the same time. This will be used for home defense. I was looking almost exclusively at the Beretta APX, but one of your reviews has me now also considering the Taurus G3. Which way would you lean between these two?
If you have the money, the APX is a better gun. It's made by a better company. It's going to have a better track record, better build quality, better customer service. I had some issues with a Taurus recently, and Taurus was fantastic at fixing those, and we'll have a follow-up video. That being said, not everyone has a gun channel, so I can't guarantee they'd be that awesome to you, and I've heard horror stories in the comments. Beretta is, I think, the oldest gun manufacturer in the world, and they make some pretty phenomenal pistols. The APX is among them. APX is like a quality gun that nobody buys, so it's cheap, and that is way better than a popular cheap gun, if that makes any sense.
Final question. Any recommendations on ammunition?
Yeah, what you can find. I don't know. I usually have pretty good luck with Fiocchi. I try to stay away from Winchester White Box. I have some issues with that. I like Phoenix ammo. I like anything Federal. It's pretty easy. But what you can find. Quality handgun will shoot most ammunition.
All right, patron Daniel asks, I was wondering if you had given any thought to doing any reviews on cleaning kits and maintenance products.
Oh, I haven't, because you can't do videos on gun cleaning anymore for some reason, because apparently that's evil. And I don't fucking clean my guns very well, and I don't clean them very often. I'm not like your standard Marine type guy who cleans their rifle every time they shoot it, or their handgun. I clean my handguns every 1,000-ish rounds, and I clean my rifles around that as well. There's a lot of great videos that I would recommend, however, that I've watched. A number of them from Mr. Guns and Gear. He was an armorer in the Army, and he does a fantastic job of explaining that. So I don't think I could do better than that, so I don't attempt to. But that being said, I use standard CLP, and I clean them the standard way. And I use Slip 2000 for lubricant. I just find that works the best in all conditions. I tried to go on the frog lube train and stuff like that, but that shit doesn't work in the cold, and Iowa gets real cold.
Okay.
Wilson Combat Gun Grease if you're going for grease. That's the best grease as well.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, I lost my spot.
That's okay.
There's a lot of these to go through.
Well, it's a good problem to have. I'm happy people support the channel, so I have no problem answering the questions.
I think we may have actually gotten through it now.
Do we end them all?
Yes. Wow.
I went faster than I thought.
Also, patron Elisa says she wants more of my opinion, so looks like I'll have to start having more of an opinion on things. But
I always try to get you to, but
I know, I'm just kidding.
You shoot really well, you just don't know that much about the technical details, so it's kind of hard sometimes. Okay, well, that was the first patron Q&A that we kind of stumbled through and sort of made it. This is my attempt to copy Carl's video from InRange. I just watch those videos all the time, and I'm like, fuck, I could do that. I probably couldn't do it as well as Carl, but I'm certainly not as eloquent as he is. However, if you get bored, check his patron Q&As out too. They're very entertaining and usually filled with historical information that you may not get on my channel, although I try sometimes. But yeah, I appreciate all my patrons, and thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. YouTube's so damn finicky, and it always concerns me being on YouTube because at any moment they can axe me, and unlike a lot of gun channels, I've been deleted. I don't know a large channel that's been deleted, and you guys were there for me. And when in doubt, I'll always post videos on Patreon, and I'll always support you guys because you guys are always having my back, and I can't thank you enough. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We try to get to every private message. That being said, we don't have a big company. Like, I have a lot of friends that are YouTubers now, and all of them have tons of employees and just It's just me and my wife out here, and we try to answer your questions as best we can, and we really appreciate your support. So thank you, and I'll see you next time. Or check you later.